Michael Stean ranked second in Great Britain only after Tony Miles against Lothar Schmid of West Germany, and for both of them a critical game in their pursuit of the Master Game trophy and the first prize of £2,500. As we can see, in Group B, Schmid leads with 1 point, Korchnoi has 1 point but from one game more, Byrne has just half a point, and Stean has half a point from only one game. So, if Michael Stean wins tonight, he goes to the top of this group. With me, as usual, to give his commentary and expert analysis on the game is Bill Hartston, the international master and chess journalist. Bill, what chance does Stean have against Schmid to go top of Group B?
Well, it's ironical that having beaten Korchnoi, Schmid now finds himself facing one of Korchnoi's seconds from the last World Championship match. My money's on Michael to avenge Viktor's defeat.
Right, well, it's Michael Stean of Great Britain playing white to start this Group B game in the Master Game.
Well, white against Lothar. Never played Lothar before. Wonder what he plays against c4. Well, one way to find out. c4.
No, chess is not a joke, indeed. Chess could be hard work. But today there was a lovely day, fine weather, and I purchased a few old, lovely chess sets. And I feel in the mood to play, let's say, a foolish game. I try c5.
Ah, c5. Okay, always play knight f3 here. Knight f3.
And now g6. It's an experiment. I try it.
Yes. Now we tend to get some line of the Sicilian defence, believe it or not. I can play d4 or e4 first. Well, makes no difference. I'll play d4.
He could have played e4. I remember a book from Professor Becker. It was written 50 years ago, I think in 29. And he said it is more correct to play e4 because now after this move, black could try to equalize in another way. I tried. C pawn takes pawn d4.
Knight takes d4.
And now the difference. Knight to f6 prevents that the e-pawn will push to e4.
Ah, interesting. Normally they play bishop g7, knight c6. Well, I wonder what he's got in mind. Okay, I play knight c3.
And here, to be consequent, I have to try that line, d5 instead of bishop g7. Let's see what happens. d5.
Oh ho! Looks fishy to me. I'm ahead in development. He wants to open the position. Okay, good. I can play... what can I play? I can play... Knight f3 is interesting. Strange move, but not bad. But I like bishop g5. It looks natural. Yes, bishop g5.
Yes, indeed. This is a strong development. But now I do have two possibilities. Either to take the pawn on c4 off. This is certainly a solid way to play. But as I told myself, I have my foolish day. And I try a move which is certainly not quite sound, but perhaps just playable. Knight to e4. Very complicated.
Yes, that's the move they always play in the Grunfeld. But this position's slightly different. I'm ahead in development. Well, must take it off. Knight takes c4.
And pawn takes knight. Now white has two more pieces in play, but black should have some pressure on the long diagonal.
Now, what to do? I must do something quickly because my black squares on the queen side look weak. But I have very nice move here. Knight b5.
Yes, this indeed is the strongest, by far the strongest. I couldn't play either knight to d7 or bishop to d7, because after knight d6 check I should lose my queen and all the people would laugh. This certainly I couldn't do. Also, to take the queen off on d1 with a check is no good, because then the rook will be developed easily, and I should play further knight to a6, which is certainly not well placed there. I think I have to play the original plan, bishop to g7, which allows him to take my queen off, and I never can castle anymore. But however, the king will be safe in the center.
Oh, pity you didn't play knight d7. Never mind. Well, if I trade queens, I can castle queenside with check, defend my pawn on b2, and, well, I haven't castled queenside for ages. Yes, queen takes d8 check.
There is no choice. King takes queen.
And now long castles with check. Very nice.
Interesting that although Lothar Schmid said he was in the mood for a foolish game, at this stage, in fact, he's taken very nearly twice as long as Stean has to play his opening moves, 34 minutes to 20. Bill, Michael Stean was just saying that he hasn't castled on the queen side for a very long time, as if it's a bit of a privilege to do so, is it?
Oh, I think it is a bit of a privilege, really. It's a question of priorities in the opening stages of the game. Normally you get out the knights and bishops quickly, and you then want to develop the rooks and decide where the king goes. Now, if you castle kingside, you get the rooks into operation. The king ends up on g1, where it's very happy. If you castle queenside, first of all, you have to move your queen out first, and you don't usually know where it goes so early. And also, you very nearly always have to waste another move putting the king on b1. So in a way, castling queenside takes 2 moves longer.
Yes. Well, let's see if Schmidt can take advantage of the 2 moves longer that Steen's had. It's Schmidt black to play his 10th move.
Yes, indeed. His development is very, very strong. However, a position like this is not so easy to get overwhelmed from the other side. And I have 2 moves now, either to play knight to d7 or bishop to d7. It is difficult to decide which move the better might be, but I try. My feeling gives knight to d7.
Well, I expected bishop d7. Now, what to do? Large choice of moves here. I can play g3, I can play g4, I can play e3. I can't quite play knight d6 because he replies f6. And I give check on f7, king e8, I take the rook on h8, and he takes my bishop on g5. And the poor knight on h8 is trapped. But, now that's interesting. He wants to get rid of my knight with a6, but I can stop him. Very annoying for him if I keep my knight on b5. Yes, I like this idea. I retreat, bishop e3.
Well, I felt that he would play that move. It is a strong one indeed. Of course, he did not get into my trap. Knight to d6 would have lost something because of f6. But this move, bishop to e3, is rather strong. He attacks my a-pawn, and I can't push that pawn to a6 because of bishop b6 check, king to e8, knight to c7 check, and wins my rook the corner. No, there is only one move. It is b6.
Well, I have a little combination here. Knight takes a7, rook takes a7, bishop takes b6 check, rook c7. But I don't believe it. I must develop. How to do it? g3.
Yes, of course. His last pieces want to get out, and myself I have to do the same. Bishop to a6 might be the best.
Yes, probably forced. And now, forget about this counterplay. Keep on developing. Bishop g2.
Oh, that's more or less a surprise for me, because I can play now rook to c8. But what a position. It's very, very complicated. He might take then a7. I can check him on c4, king to b1, then king to c7 perhaps, and a long variation, godness, b3, rook to b4, rook to c1 check, knight to c5, and later his a pawn is hanging. This is a very, very difficult line, but I don't see any better. Rook to c8.
This move I don't believe. He should take my knight on b5. It's a very dangerous knight. Well, I'm quite happy to give him that c-pawn. King b1.
That's maybe better than to take off the pawn on a7. He has now other possibilities, but there is no other and better way than to take off this pawn on c4. Rook takes pawn.
Well, I think he still should have taken my knight. Now, knight takes a7 is not clear to me after king e8. Strange move. But I have very good Zwischenzug here. I hit his rook first. b3.
I think it's rather genius that he played that line and not the other, to take the pawn on a7, because he could have come into trouble, however, should have been very unclear. This move now transposes. I could play rook to b4, but then he could play better, instead of taking the pawn on a7, knight to d4 with a threat on c6 and another on c2 perhaps, and a3. Oh God, my rook should be trapped more or less. No, I go back. The rook should defend and goes to c6.
Well, at this stage, Schmid has spent a lot more time than Stean. Is Stean in really a very much stronger position?
Yes, I think he really is. I think Schmidt's really paying for this foolish opening that he played. Stean gave up this pawn on c4, so temporarily he's a pawn down. He's about to take back on a7, I expect. This rook will be attacked, having no clear place to live. Black's still suffering from this pin on the d-file. He's got to get out of that to free this rook. His pawn on e4 is attacked by the bishop. Really, White's got everything here. It's a dream position.
Right, well, let's go back to the game and see if Marshal Stean can turn the dream into reality.
Aha. Now things are going to get clearer. I can take on a7 and then on e4. Yes. Knight takes a7.
All right. Now there are two possibilities. Either to play rook to d6 or rook to e6, which is a little bit strange. This protects that pawn on e4, but he could double his rooks on the d-file. Rather dangerous. No, I have to defend better. Rook to d6.
Yes. Very good move. Only move. Now, well, I don't want to take on d6, gives his king some squares. I take on e4.
Yes, I think he did the best in the position. All his pieces are developed very frankly and free, and he has the better game now. But I can certainly defend, because I shall have pawn weaknesses on d6 and b6, but some counterplay. Still, my bishop on g7 is a rather long one, goes through the whole board, and even mating threats should be at least. Well, I take the pawn on e2. That's my counter chance.
Yes. Now, I feel there should be a forced win here somewhere, but I don't see it. If I take on d6, I'm better, but nothing is forcing. If I play rook c1, he has knight c5. Annoying. He can give me that pawn. Well, what to do? Strange, I don't see anything better. Well, can't sit here all day. Rook takes d6.
Yes, it's a natural move. I have to retake. Pawn takes rook.
And now I have to start kicking this bishop before I get into trouble myself. Rook e1.
This move indeed is very solid, probably best, because otherwise I could have attacked his bishop on e4, and if he would have moved on the long diagonal, I should have checked him on d3 with a lot of counterplay. Now my bishop has no good squares anymore. He has to get back to a6.
Yes. Now I want to change that bishop because I'm always afraid of checks on d3 one day. My bishop can't stay on e4 forever. So I have a maneuver. Knight c6 check.
Yeah, I was afraid of that. King to c7 is forced, I think.
And now knight b4.
Yeah, he's playing on the white squares now. d5 is a strong square for him, and I have to defend myself very carefully, otherwise I should lose easily. There is only one move again, bishop to b7.
At last, take it off. Bishop takes b7.
Now, yeah, I have to retake, and the white squares are rather weak. King takes bishop.
Now, he's short of time, and I stand better. Maybe I have a forced win here. If I play rook d1, he can play bishop e5, f4, bishop c3. Not clear. But I can use my rook on the e file, maybe. Yes, yes. Move the bishop on e3. Where to? I know the best square. He won't expect this one. Bishop c1.
Yes, I was afraid that he would move the bishop on this best square. Now he's threatening rook to e7, winning a pawn, and I have to defend these squares. The best perhaps might be to get the king into the center again. King to c7 covers my knight for the future.
Oh, he lets the rook to the 7th, and then he plays rook f8, and what do I... Well, I must be able to do something then. Well, no time to think. Rook e7.
Yeah, now my f-pawn is attacked. I have to cover it, and then I should try to put the rook out of my house, and I think there is a good chance to do so. Rook to f8, the only move again.
My God, looks like Custer's last stand. But how do I get through? What can I play here? I have no threats. But he has no threats. He can't play bishop f6 because I play knight d5, check. Take on d7, take on f6. He can't play bishop e5 because I play bishop h6. So, well, he's got no moves here. I play bishop f4. Looks right.
Well, both players certainly under a certain amount of time pressure, if not real danger yet. Schmid has got 12 minutes left to play 15 moves. Stean's got 32. Bill Harston will take us through these next few moves up to the time control.
Well, Stean seems to have lost some of the advantage he had before, but he's still very much better. Schmid fighting very hard, defending this very well. This h5 move, trying to gain some air on the king's side. And now Stean's moving his knight away from this excellent square on b4. And the bishop expelling the rook. Really, things haven't been going very well for white recently. This plan of bringing the rook to the 7th doesn't seem to have paid off. And Schmidt's crawling out. Amazing what a almost playable position he has now compared with what it was some time ago. But white's still very much better. These two black pawns are rather weak, and the knight's coming to its best square on d5, attacking the bishop and the b-pawn, and the bishop has to go back to defend it. f3. I feel white should be doing something on the queen's side with these pawns.
Well, it looks to me as if Schmidt's offering a draw.
That's cheeky. I don't think his position's quite good enough to offer a draw yet.
Well, Stean obviously thinks it's cheeky. He's going to go on.
Yeah, Stean's playing on. Quite right, too. Better position, more time. but maybe Schmidt's getting something. Knight checking the king. I don't think Michael's finding the right plan here. He's now just improving the position of his pieces. I think he's still wanting to advance these pawns. But Schmidt's getting counterplay on the king side. It's not so clear now. Schmidt's really fighting. His bishop looks a bit better now. He's got all his pawns on white square, all his pawns on this side on white squares, on the king side. Exchanging some pawns. Now even opening the f-file for his rook. It's getting a bit dangerous for white. Michael, what are you doing with your beautiful position? Black's first active move for weeks, attacking the g-pawn. Bishop defends it, and the knight comes in too. It's astonishing. Really dangerous for white now. I don't see how he saves this pawn. Checking with the rook. Everything's rather attractive in the Schmid camp now. Extraordinary activity now by the black pieces.
Well, certainly it seems as if Stean's position has fallen apart. He may yet rue the moment he rejected Schmidt's offer of a draw. Let's go back to the game with Michael Stean, white to move.
Aye. What have I been doing with my position? Should have taken a draw. Well, I'm worse now. Pawn on g3 is attacked. Only one chance. Knight d3.
Yes, that's perhaps the only move, and it is a real trap in it. I can take the g3 pawn, but there is a fork in here, and however, I think it doesn't work. Knight takes pawn g3.
Shame. I thought he would think I had set a trap, but it doesn't work. Well, no choice. Bishop takes g3.
Rook takes bishop.
And now I give him a check. Maybe he'll go to the wrong square. Knight f4 check.
Oh, how tricky indeed. I couldn't play king f5 because he would take my bishop with a check, and then if I retake, knight gives a terrible check on h5, winning my rook. No, there's only one move which is a good move. King to e5.
And now my last chance. Rook takes f6.
And of course not to take the rook, but rook f3, and his knight is in a pin.
Well, what can I do? Have to play the rook ending, but it looks bad. Rook e6 check.
That's perhaps the only move. He will win one of my pawns. However, the g-pawn is very, very strong and not too far from queening. King takes knight.
Ooh, that g-pawn's a monster. Well, take some pawns quickly. Rook takes d6.
No check on f2, please, because the rook could get to a square g3 later. The real idea is certainly g3.
Yes, panic. No time to take the pawn on b6 because he threatens g2, and after rook g6, rook g3. So I must give a check first. Yes, rook f6 check.
This is certainly a good move, but perhaps it will not help. King to e3.
Now take the second pawn and pray. Rook takes b6.
And here I think he will lose after g2.
Ooh, rook g6.
And king goes to f2 now, and my threat will be rook to g3.
Nothing to do. He threatens rook g3, making a queen. I have to sacrifice immediately. Rook takes g2 check.
And king takes the rook, and now he has two pawns against my rook, but this will be not enough.
Strange position. If I could get my king out of this vice with just one pawn, I would draw, but I can't. I don't know. a4, only move.
My rook on f3 prevents that his king gets out. And easy, my king goes step by step on g3, f4, f5, e5, and this will win.
Well, it looks lost to me, but, yeah, push a pawn. a5.
It's just a win for one tempo. king to f4.
Keep on going. A6.
And in time, king comes to e5. He can't push anymore his pawn because rook f8 and rook a8 will win that pawn. Otherwise, I win the pawns by the king and rook working together.
Yes, well, his king gets back. I can play a7, rook f8. No, it's not worth it. Yes, well, that seems to be that. I resign. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
You defended very well.
Well, for a while, I think you...
What an absolutely extraordinary game. It was fascinating that Schmid offered a draw against Stean. Stean refused it and then went on to lose. And it's exactly what happened against Korchnoi when Schmid offered a draw there. Korchnoi very contemptuously refused it and went on to lose. And talk about snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory. Well, Michael Stean, like his mentor, Korchnoi. Amazing.
Yes, but Schmid has shown extraordinarily resilient defence today. It's a tremendous lesson in the art of playing bad positions.
But it really was a dreadful position because Stean seemed to have absolutely everything going for him round about move 25. 30.
Yes, this is certainly Michael's big weakness now. I think he's been watching too many of the Korchnoi games in Baguio. He's very often in the last year got really tremendous positions and then footled around a bit.
How is it that somebody as good as Korchnoi and as good as Stean is obviously about to become can get into rock-crushing positions and then let them evaporate, dissipate them, get into time trouble? But Stean wasn't in time trouble today, which makes it even odder.
Yes, I think it's just the desire that we felt when listening to Michael thinking today, that he wanted to finish things off. And just couldn't quite see anything that really clinched matters, and instead of just playing good strengthening moves was really a bit too anxious to kill quickly.
He should just have played rather like Karpov, percentage chess.
Yeah, Karpov would have won this one.
Yes. Right, well, thank you, Bill. Stean certainly didn't win it, which means his chances of qualifying are absolutely negligible now. In fact, they're non-existent because Lothar Schmid from West Germany, I should have thought, to his immense surprise, finds himself top of his group, a whole point ahead of Viktor Korchnoi. And that means that now Viktor Korchnoi has to beat Stean to stand aside his chance of going through. And it looks as if Schmidt's going to finish it by simply needing a draw with Bern to go through to the final by winning Group B. We can leave Group B. Next week we're going to Group A, back to Group A, where we're going to see Britain's last hope, really, John Nunn playing Helmut Pfleger. And this is a most interesting group because if Nunn were to win and Brown and Hort were to draw, and that does seem a possibility, then we could have a three-way playoff. Well, that's next week. John Nunn of Great Britain against Helmut Pfleger of West Germany. Until then, from all of us here in Bristol, good night. But what do you think the chances are of Nunn being able to